Hi, I'm Linda Gaines with Geeky Girl Crafts, and I wanted to bring a quick update about um, tumbling broken pottery in putting in a rock tumbler. I saw something on the internet that said you don't actually have to use grit when you're tumbling the pottery, and somebody was had their results from doing that. And so I decided to experiment a little bit and see, okay, what are the results if I don't use the grit? And I'm using stage 3 grit, which is already fairly mild, actually. And the result, so the summary is you do and you do not have to use grit. It depends upon what it is you need and what the look you want is. So I've got some pieces that are in the same or similar type glaze. I got a bunch of pottery from a potter who was trying to get rid of some of their collection. So she gave me this pottery on the condition that I, break it apart and use it for something instead of trying to use the full piece. So anyway, so I have a lot of this pottery. So it's actually, these two pieces were tumbled with, again, stage 3 grit for a week. These pieces were tumbled for a week, but without the grit, without any grit at all. I'm not sure how well the video is going to capture this, but there's two things. First of all, if you can see it, the ones tumbled without the grit are very shiny. You can still see it's shiny. In other words, that sort of that glass-like glaze has not been removed. Whereas the ones with the grit, it's a matte finish. Two, I think you can kind of see how it was a white glaze with some sort of like a bluish glaze that went over it. It looked kind of like with brush strokes. So you can still see basically all of that glaze when there's no grit used. Whereas the ones where the grit was used, it's starting to come off. You can still see remnants of it, but it's starting to come off. And then finally, as importantly, is, again, I'm not sure how well the camera's going to pick this up, but this is the edges are smooth. It's smooth, no problem handling it. Without the grit, it's not sharp. I'm not going to cut myself, but it's got the points. It's not like something you're going to kind of rub with your hand if you're using it for like a worry stone or something like that. It's still kind of rough. Again, not sharp, not like glass that's going to cut you. And so here's some more examples. These were done with the stage 3 grit. These had no grit whatsoever. And I think this picks it up really well. Again, you can still see the shininess when no grit was used, whereas with the grit, it's a matte finish. Again, that roughness is still there. Also, this one, it's starting to get darker, and I'm not sure what the glaze on top of was here. I think this is the same glaze, but maybe it's the shininess. Anyway, it's changing a little bit. Like on this piece, the glaze is really starting to rub off, right? Whereas on this, you can still see the glaze it originally was. And finally, I think these are also really good ones to show. I'm pretty sure this is all the same glaze, but she had the potter that I got them from, she had several pieces with this very metallic looking red glaze. And you can see that very metallicness of it. And when I tumble it with the grit, that metallic is definitely coming off. In some cases, it ends up being black. So, whatever that red metallic is, I don't know if it was all part of the same glaze, but it is coming off when the grit is used. Whereas here, you can still very much see it. So, I think it depends upon if you want to keep the metallic, which in some cases, like with this red, I definitely want to keep that metallic, especially since the opposite is like the black. So in this case, I think these are done well to not use the grit. And because it's not sharp enough for me to really worry about it, I think it works just fine. Again, but then conversely, so it's nice being able to keep that glaze, that metallicness, but then conversely, you know, you can just rub your hand and like, if you want it like a worry stone, whereas this, you're not going to do that, or I wouldn't want to do that. So it really depends upon, do you need a very smooth finish? Or if you don't, then you don't need to worry about it. This will, just tumbling it will help to smooth it out a little bit. And if you don't use grit, you can keep that metallic or, a lot more of the glaze. So, certainly the shininess. So that was an update on using it. If you're going to be tumbling pottery, keep that in mind as to what the outcome you want. Okay, that was it. Hope you have fun.